was thinking, if you lived in a world where there were evil doppelgangers, right?
Oh.
Which one are you? Are you the evil doppelganger? Or is there some happy Brad out there somewhere just like living his life, oblivious to the fact that there's some mirror version of him living in misery? And if that's true, where's my Happy Beckemeyer? Because Happy Beckemeyer can't be stuck with miserable Brad. There's a Happy Beckemeyer out there somewhere who's living life going completely oblivious to the fact that there's a miserable Brad sucking the life out of him and all that stuff.
According to that, you and I both are miserable, and there's two happy versions of us.
Right. Who probably don't even know each other. Definitely don't work or live together.
So that's what happened. In an alternate universe, if we never met, we'd be happy. Oh!
Yeah.
I get where that story was
And I thought all this had to do with my ex-wife.
Dude, there is no universe where any version of me is happy.
Well, not with that attitude. I mean, it's energy, Brad. You got to put the right energy out into the universe.
I'm not thinking good thoughts.
Yeah.
That was a mistake I've been making this whole time.
Not good thoughts, because good thoughts are, positive mental attitude is sort of unstable. But just energy.
Right.
You're putting energy out.
I should smile even though I'm not happy, because eventually I will feel the way my face is.
I will feel the way my face is. Well, not you, because you'll just complain, my cheeks hurt now because I'm faking smiling. No, it's just energy. You got to put its manifestation, the secrets.
You want to know?
What the bleep do we know that you keep telling me about?
I love that.
I know, but you don't do anything about it. You just walk around.
I'm so miserable right now. I have said more fucks in the past 3 days than I have in the past 3 years.
Yeah. Well, even if that were close to true, I don't really believe it. You curse a lot.
No.
Well, we had a week off, so we'll tell our audience we took a week off while we were moving. We moved from one place to another, and we're still in disarray. But we finally got the podcasting nook set up.
Nook, okay.
Yeah, the podcasting nook set up. And, it was kind of convenient because there wasn't really anything we wanted to see, any movie we wanted to see last week. We were really looking forward to Us.
I still want to see How to Beat a Dragon. No. How to
Is that
win,
an innuendo? Is that sort of like a sexual innuendo? How to train your dragon. How do you not know that? How to beat your dragon. That sounds like masturbation. Hey, what are you doing in there? I'm just beating my dragon. Okay. I'm going to go back to the other side of the house.
Well, isn't that how you, in reality, that's how you would train it, by hitting it? No. No, that's not what you do.
That's not what the Mother of Dragons does on Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah. Dude, there's a zombie dragon. I can't wait. It made me wait too long. A freaking zombie dragon on Game of Thrones, dude. That's like epic. It's gonna be so cool.
When does that come? Is it April sometime?
I think so.
It's April sometime, yeah.
Oh, OMG.
Yeah, but it's not a movie, so we won't be talking about it on this show.
By the way, I'm just gonna throw out this randomly. You're gonna edit it out. Did you know that Captain Marvel originally was a black woman? There was a man first, but as far as the female Captain Marvel, it's a black woman. And
why? And we got Brie Larson.
They kept rebranding Captain Marvel. Mm-hmm. Something about a copyright or something. I don't know. But they kept trying to make it work, and it never did because nobody likes it in any form they make it.
Nobody likes Captain Marvel?
Not from what I saw.
You mean the movie? You
mean the movie? No, I mean
the
character. They can't ever... They keep rebooting it, and they can't ever get it to stick.
Yeah, because they already have a Captain America.
And
they really kind of look exactly alike.
And they have a Miss Marvel. And then they've had like 4 different Captain Marvels. We're like...
Yeah. But I really think that I think they probably should have gone with the black
That's
black
what I'm
lead.
saying.
Yeah, because at least they could have made social. So I guess having a female superhero is politically socially aware enough, but still, come on.
They could still do that because the black female pilot, that was her friend in the movie, and her daughter, they're both superheroes. I think one of them becomes Photon at some point. She used to be Captain America, then switched her name to Photon.
I mean Captain Marvel.
What did I say?
You said Captain America.
Oh, you messed me up with that. Captain Marvel, right.
Okay.
Used to be Captain Marvel, then the guy came back, he took the name, and she said, I'll be Photon, you take Captain Marvel. It's the whole thing. But, yes, it would be so much better. And it would be so much more popular. Like, all the social significance of Black Panther, it would be a huge deal to have black female Captain Marvel.
I can just see them down there. Well, we can't have 2 black movies in a row.
Dude, anything's better than... I don't want to shit on Brie Larson.
Clearly you do. You keep bringing her up and then keep going.
The new trailer for the Endgame, Avengers Endgame, it's so forced. Thor trying to give her some cred, street cred, like pulling the hammer and it whizzes by her, and she doesn't react. That's the whole thing I'm complaining about. Her face doesn't move. But they're saying, oh, that's what's cool about her. And then he's like, I like her. It's so forced. I like this one. No, you don't. They paid you to say that.
We need a video show so we can see you doing this the whole time. Waving your hands back and forth. No, you don't.
Yeah, it angers me. Because no one likes her. And they're trying to force us. Hey, look, Thor. He gives a thumbs up. No. She doesn't work. Get her out.
I really feel like Thor isn't Thor everybody's least favorite Avenger? I tell you, my least favorite is Black Widow. Or the guy with the arrows, Jeremy Renner.
Right.
What are they doing there?
They used to be my least favorite, but the movie versions were pretty kick-ass. I still can't get over the whole bow and arrow thing. Green Arrow, all of them. Come on. How are you on the Avengers? I can throw arrows really good.
What about Katnip Everdeen?
Who's Katnip Everdeen? Did you make that up?
Katniss Everdeen from The Hunger Games.
I thought it was
Katniss.
Cadniss.
It's Katniss. Catniss, I think.
I always thought it was.
But I call her Katnip. Katnip Everdeen.
I'm confusing that with Cadmus from DC Universe.
Yeah, of course you are.
Of course I am.
Well,
So
that's 5 more minutes of us complaining about Captain Marvel that you didn't want to hear.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I had to get it off my chest.
We saw Us, the new Jordan Peele horror movie.
Yeah. And I have a problem with Us.
I have a problem with Us too. Us or the movie?
I just had to say that, but both.
But this is a movie that for months the trailer has been pulling me in and pulling me in, pulling me. It's so alluring. It pulls you in because you don't really know what it's about, but I like the idea of evil doppelgangers. It reminds me of a David Lynch movie, all kinds of stuff. And it basically starts out with this family who's going on a summer vacation. They're in the car. They're singing along. They're living in their ordinary world.
By the way, this is all stuff from the trailer.
Yeah. We're going to try. There's not a lot we can talk about with this movie because there are a lot of spoilers. After about an hour into the movie, there's really not much we can talk about because things start to happen that you find out what's going on, and after that, it's all just one big spoiler alert. So we're going to talk about the movie without really talking about it. You do know that there is some sort of Lupita Nyong'o, I think is how you say her name, has some sort of a troubled past from one incident that happened when she was a kid. From some incident she happened when she was a kid. She wandered off from a carnival when she was a kid, and basically met. Is this a spoiler? Basically met her doppelganger.
I don't think it's a spoiler.
So it affected her in many ways, and she grew up being afraid of things like the beach, not wanting to go to the beach, not wanting to she really just wanted to be in her safe little bubble.
Yeah, we can't go in depth in the beach part, but just she had a thing about returning to the place where that traumatic thing happened.
So the movie, how do we want to do this? Because we can't really talk about the movie.
It's hard to even talk about the beginning because you can almost spoil stuff about the beginning.
Yeah. So I will talk about it generically as possible. The movie is really well made. Like, it is a great slow burn horror movie. Creepy
at 11, right?
Yeah. And it's not even like scary. It's like creepy. It like puts you on edge.
Yeah, like skin crawling.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of like. I think there's only one like jump scare in the whole thing, and it was a well done jump scare. It wasn't one that was intended to. It wasn't just one where it gets real quiet and then suddenly there's a loud noise. It was like a real jump scare. Yes. The rest of it is like just the characters involved. You see them in the trailer where the kid's got a burned face and the daughter's got the creepy, like perpetually creepy happy grin, and the mom is.
Yeah.
And the dad apparently can't even use words. He's like, ah! And so in a way it's funny, but also like creepy at the same time.
It's disturbing.
The characters are unsettling to be in the room with. There's a point in time where, you see it in the trailer where they charge the house. And once you get the happy family with the doppelganger family, it's uncomfortable the whole time because you really don't know what the doppelgangers are going to do.
Yeah.
And you don't know what they're there for. You don't know why they're there for. You don't know what's going on. But they're so strange and weird and off. Something's off about them that anything could happen. And you would believe if anything happened, you would be like, "I'll buy that."
Yeah, it's a bunch of the family's in a room full of unstable people.
Yeah.
So anytime that they're calm and not being aggressive or doing anything, they're just scared half to death of what's going to happen any moment. Now they want to go in the other room with a kid.
It didn't scare me though because I live with you. You're an unstable person.
Right.
So I knew that at any moment anything could happen and I would be prepared for that.
Yeah. So I keep you zen because you always...
I wouldn't say that you keep me
always
zen.
have to be zen in order to handle whatever I'm throwing at you.
Yeah.
So you're welcome. It's...
So it's so well made. Here's the thing. It's so well made.
Yeah.
The first 20 minutes of the film, it almost feels slow, but it's such a meticulously paced opening where slow shots happen. You're like, just the fact that the camera's moving slowly and the characters are walking slowly and you're looking at the characters a lot and you don't see what's going on really around them. Something's going to happen. And by the way, you've seen the trailer, so you know something's going to happen. You just don't know when. It's so well crafted because of that. Even the score, which is so it's almost like got this choral, orchestral and choral chants.
Like kids.
Yeah.
They're kids doing these chants.
And that's unsettling, but it's not unsettling because it's like screechy music or anything like that. It's like it just
would off-putting be a...
Yeah, it's off. Yeah, it's off-putting or offsetting or something like that. And it's it's in a way, if you remember Hereditary, we saw Hereditary, some of the music in Hereditary, or like near the end where they were like chanting to the demon, it kind of, I thought, so at the very beginning I thought, are the doppelgangers like some sort of like from the underneath, like from the upside down or something from Stranger Things.
I want to tell everyone in general regardless of how whether we liked it or not, or how much we do or don't, I recommend you see it anyway, because the first half or the first hour is brilliant and great. I even argued that if they had just cut off the second half that exists now, and then just added 30 more minutes and had that be its own movie, it would have been like brilliant, great. I would have loved it, but it's like it's almost like two different movies, because when you get into this second half stuff, it's not like the first at all, and it's a different movie. And by the way, that's also when things start not making sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to. Okay, I need to do this little speech real quick. Okay, there are movies that can explain things like, the aliens. There's what is it? Rick, is it? What's the guy that did the first Aliens and then he did Prometheus? What's his name? The director. Okay.
Why am I drawing a blank on this guy?
I don't know. You're usually great.
I'm the one. Yeah. You sprung that one on me.
Okay. So
I'm gonna look it up while you talk.
Okay. So he did prequels to explain like
it's embarrassing that I can't remember his name right now.
Gotcha. Okay. So he did prequels to explain where the aliens came from. Now, I hated Aliens Covenant because everyone in it, they're stupid, and they don't, and they almost come out and say, "This is my role. This is what I do and how I am," and then they go against it. And anyway,
it's Ridley Scott.
Ridley
Scott did the first.
Okay,
yeah, he's only one of the greatest.
I combined Ridley and Scott and made it Rick. Okay, so just real quick, here's the thing. Okay, so the movie Covenant explains how they came from, explains everything, right? But it's stupid, nonsensical, not logical. It doesn't make sense, even though they explain it. So I told my friend, he's like, "Oh, did you see Alien Covenant?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was terrible." "What do you mean? I loved it. They explained everything." So I realized that you could watch a movie where they explain everything, but it can be ridiculous or logistically impossible.
Yeah. So,
and that's sort of how I felt about the second half of this movie.
Yeah. Is
because once they revealed one of the main things, I was like, no, because if it's this, then it's the whole thing, and then the ending, the last 30 minutes. You and I discussed that if they didn't have the last 30 minutes, we could tolerate the second half, but then the last 30, and maybe even the last 10 minutes, I mean, just the last little 15 minutes, just changes things, and what? Yeah. And then it makes even less sense, and then you're like, eh.
Okay, so here's a weird thing, because I had issues with it, but it's a great movie. You know what I mean? So the first half of the movie is a very interesting question.
That's great.
The second half of the movie is an answer that doesn't make sense for the question. So very, very often, the questions in stories are way more interesting than the answers.
Yeah, it's
if you remember
an
Lost,
allegory.
It's yeah. So if you remember when they made Lost, how interesting the show was when they were like, "What's this? What's this? What's this? What's this?"
Where did that come from?
And
what
then,
does it do?
And then in the last season, the last couple of seasons where they started to reveal a bunch of answers, that's when people started getting pissed at that show, because they didn't like the answer, whether they were right or wrong. I loved Lost all the way to the last episode, but a lot of people got mad because they didn't like the answers to the questions that they had been asking all this time. So this movie asks a great question at the very beginning, all the way for the first.
Yeah.
Just the answers we had a little bit of issues with.
Right.
However, it is, yes. I read some critique after we saw the movie that explained the that this person's take on the ending was interesting to me. Not even the ending, but the whole movie in general. That the happy life, happy family, and the doppelganger family were sort of like the haves and the have-nots. Like it's a social commentary on our country. Mm-hmm. We are us. We are all, because at one point in time the doppelgangers say we're Americans, and the thing is,
because it's happening in America,
right? But the thing is, when she says we're Americans, if you think deeper, if you think past the horror movie part of that, and you start thinking, in America, we're all the same. You have your happy family, and you have your people who are exactly the same, but they are the have-nots. Like there's a disconnect between people that have a happy life, they have everything they need. They may even have modest things, but they have a summer home. They have a crappy little boat that ends up being a joke a couple of times in the movie. But they're exactly the same. Like, we're all the same in this country, but you have so much of a disconnect between the people who have things and the people who don't have things. That's why it says we are our own worst enemy in the trailer. In the trailer, it seems like, oh, we are our own worst enemy. Haha, doppelgangers. But if you think deeper about that just a little bit, it's social commentary. Like, we are the ones that are causing trouble for everyone else in our own country. And we're all the same. We're all human beings. We're all Americans. Blah, blah, blah. Okay? Mm-hmm. And I thought that analysis was really interesting. That made the movie... Again, that made the first half of the movie so much better to me. But then when they started to reveal things after that, it gets a little bit more eyebrow raising. It's like, what? Really?
Yeah, but that was one of our thing that you and I both agreed on. One of our biggest points was the movie would have been better if you hadn't explained so much.
Yeah.
Because it was fine not knowing.
Yeah.
And you could explain a little bit and then have some kind of a thing at the end. Then you could maybe do more in another movie, but yeah.
Definitely leave it.
Because, by the way, there's also a science to, like, creatures, horror movies. Mm-hmm. The more of the creature you can see and the more often you see it, the less scary it is. The less you see of something, it's just like with Jaws, and even the earlier Aliens movies. The best horror movies are the ones where you barely get to see it. Maybe at the end when there's the climax and it's got to go, then you get to see it. But, it's less is more when it comes to horror and thriller movies.
A lot of times what happens when you're watching a movie... First of all, I really liked the movie. It sounds like we're shitting on the movie. I really liked it. Just that the closer we got to the end, the more it was... Yeah. The more it was making me question things. But... it's... A lot of times when a movie is like that, and we talk about this with M. Night Shyamalan a lot, where... He presents again a really good question, a really good premise where you're like, oh, this is cool. What's happening? What's going on? And The Sixth Sense had a great question and a great answer. Mm-hmm. Right there at the end, it spent 5 minutes at the end revealing the thing. Maybe even 2 minutes at the end. That's all we did. Okay, but then it becomes about the subsequent movies, which I still liked, but as he went further and further along. It started being about proving how clever he was and not about telling a good story anymore. This movie dances on a very thin line of look at how clever we are, I think. Yeah. Even though I still think Jordan Peele is just... I can't wait to see his next movie. You know what I mean? I still want to see his next movie.
I also noticed while you were talking, related to that, there's this trend of coming up with cool names for the world or the thing or whatever the thing is in your movie. Stranger Things is the Upside Down. Yeah. Jordan Peele's original Get Out. It was the under.
The underneath. No, is what did we call it?
Because it's a thing now. It's like almost in the dictionary at this point.
The sunken place.
Sunken place, right?
Yeah.
So I don't believe it will ruin the movie by revealing the term in this movie that it's the tethered.
Oh yeah, the tethered.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't know what that means, but so is this going to be? I feel like, because the sunken place is such a thing. It's like a common language now. Whenever we talk about someone who's not
But
in
think
control.
about it. The sunken place in Get Out was just a few moments that we saw the sunken place.
Yeah.
It was, in his mind when he's being hypnotized or mind controlled or whatever. This one, it is more about the thing than it was about.
So I feel like he might be pressured to go down that path of what's the new term you're going to create?
The new term. What's the new term?
The who's a what's it? Is that what's going to be? Yeah, no.
My nickname for my scary place is going to be the dark. You could just call it the dark. Mm-hmm. Or the black.
Or what about the ouch?
Or the Brad.
The
The Brad. It's a deep, dark, sad place known as the Brad. Where suffering is real 24/7.
Yeah.
There's not much else we can really say about it because
I know, we're
because
barely into an episode.
The more we say, the more more questions we answer, the more we're going to reveal what we don't want to reveal. I'm with you. I think people should go see it because it is a fun movie. If you could just sit there and watch it for the stuff that's happening, because even the stuff that's happening in the last half that really, I had a problem with the explanation of the things that are happening. The things that happen aren't bad.
Right.
They're good and exciting and fun, but the explanation that we keep getting, like the exposition of what's happening, is less and less believable the farther along we get into the movie. I highly recommend people to go see the movie. So I feel like the more we say, the more we're going to sound like we don't like it.
The first half alone is worth the price. Just go see it.
And I think we're probably on the outside on this. I think everybody that I've talked to have loved it.
Right. It's because I think most people aren't. I think you and I are probably thinking too much about it. If you just enjoy it and say, okay, it's like this. If you don't try to work out, is that no. If you just buy what they're selling, good, you're great.
the problem with a lot of action movies and a lot of horror movies is there is a line where, like, there's a lot of like
suspension of disbelief.
Almost like there's a lot of suspension of disbelief. So people come out of a horror movie going, yeah, with some parts that I didn't really jive with, but it's a horror movie. What do you expect? And I really don't like that. I don't like thinking like that when I go in. Oh, well, since this is a horror movie, I should expect less from it, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Same thing with action movies. Well, it's an action movie. I just want to see things blow up. Why? Why do you want to see that? Can't you just watch Die Hard and watch things blow up? Well, that's a good action movie. And if you just want to see things blow up, watch Die Hard again.
In new digital ways. I want to see new things blow up digitally.
Yeah, but here's the thing, man. Die Hard, they actually blew... If you want to see things blow up, watch a movie from the 80s where they blew shit up.
Yeah.
They didn't have as many, bells and whistles back then. They actually blew stuff up. I remember when they made Lethal Weapon, I think it was Lethal Weapon 2 or 3.
I think it was 2. But that
remember.
Happened here in Orlando. They blew up, was it a hotel?
They blew up our city hall because they blew up City Hall so they could build new City Hall on that same place. Yeah. And they demolished the building.
They put that in the movie.
They blew it up. They blew it up and then they put it in the movie, which I always thought was cool. I wish I had been a little bit older so I could have gone down to watch it.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah. Horror movies are so, you watch, you and I have been thinking about one to write. So we've been watching or taking a look at some other, horror movies that are popular, whether they came out in theaters or not, things that are doing well, like on demand or things like that, and you watch them, and there's just so many corners that people cut in horror movies that when people go watch, like, what was the last one that came out? It wasn't a horror movie, but it was like Escape Room. The movie Escape Room.
Did you see it?
I saw it with my daughter a couple months ago.
You didn't tell?
I didn't tell you
us?
this?
Tell us. Tell us about Escape Room and what you thought.
It was okay, but it did not blow me away. It was PG-13, teeny bopper horror movie. You know what I mean? And the thing is, people get so conditioned to go see that, and then they go see Hereditary. And then Hereditary, I think, is an excellent horror movie because it really did horrify me. The horror movie thing doesn't really work on me. I don't sit around and go, "Ooh, I'm getting scared" and stuff like that. So when I see one that does work on me, that's how I know it's a great horror movie because it worked on me. Hereditary freaked me out just a little bit. Like, you leave the theater going, ugh, skin crawling just a touch.
There was shit in there as a father that
really
got me.
Yeah, but I think that when people get conditioned for movies like that, or even Happy Death Day to You, which did you see that?
The sequel?
Yeah.
No, did you see it already?
I saw it with my daughter. It came out. I thought you went with us. No?
Oh. See?
Oh.
Just let that
I'm adding to Brad's feeling that nobody wants him around.
Yep.
Yeah, well, hanging out with my daughter is hanging out with my daughter. That's what she wanted to go see. So
I'll see it eventually.
But even movies like that are more about the gimmick or whatever, and it's just... than it is about telling a good story. You just want to see things blow up. Like, you want the horror movie version of just seeing things blow up, which is like jump scares and loud noises and quiet and creepiness and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But, and the guy with the mask, the guy with the creepy mask that is in every... You know what I mean?
By the way, when your horror movie has a guy wearing a baby mask, we've just ran out of masks. I mean, there aren't any more masks. It's so dumb. It just... Okay, anyway.
But so all of those little things that I consider not great writing or storytelling end up in the lexicon of horror movies. Yeah. People are drawing from all of those things to make their next horror movie. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't really work. And I think for half of the time it works in this movie. I will say what I really like about Jordan Peele, whether you like his movies or not, he has something on his mind other than just making a horror movie or making a movie. So he's always working on it from multiple angles and multiple levels, which makes his movies, so far, his 2 movies, movies to talk about after you see them, whether you liked it or not. Like interesting conversations about the movie.
Yeah.
It's hard for us to have that conversation with you, our audience, because you haven't seen it, or maybe you haven't seen it and we don't want to spoil it. But I would like to see this movie again because I think I definitely misinterpreted a few things the first time I saw it, and I'd like to see it again with a second pass, knowing what I know from having seen it the first time.
Really?
Yeah. I really do want to see it
Why?
again. Well, I want to see it again and make a final decision about it. I didn't dislike it as much as you did, which is weird. It's normally the other way around, especially for horror movies.
So maybe you were influenced by me being there. Do you want to watch it by yourself to see if you have a different...
No, you didn't ruin the movie-going experience. Not until the end when you started talking.
That's when you ruined it.
No, no, it wasn't you being there. It was just, I just misinterpreted. I feel like after after we saw it a couple days ago.
Oh wait, and then you watched the thing where a guy explained the thing.
Yeah, I
so
wanna
you
see
could
it from
watch
that
it
angle.
from
Yeah.
another point of view.
Yeah, but I also when we walked out of it, I wanted to see it again before any of that stuff.
Well, so that's why we're saying, regardless of what
Yeah.
we say, how we feel,
You have to
go
see it.
see it
Yeah, you
because
need to see
everyone's
it.
going to talk about it, and you won't be able to. If
It is the best movie that's out right now.
I would agree.
Yeah, there's not anything else out that's real. I mean, Captain Marvel. I mean,
Don't bring it up.
like,
Oh god.
and we've got a couple weeks here until Avengers. We'll spend a couple minutes talking about Avengers Endgame.
Endgame is gonna.
You don't think so?
Brie Larson, man.
Well,
Not Brie Larson, just Captain Marvel in general. It's just a cluster.
well, here's the thing. I really do think that they ruined it. They blew their wad by making us wait a whole year to see the next Avengers movie.
Yeah, and they neutered the scrolls without ruining the movie. They neutered scrolls.
Because now, the way Infinity War ended, if we're supposed to suspend our disbelief, they're all dead. Well, not all of them, but you know what I mean. All those Avengers and all those like Marvel Cinematic Universe characters are dead. The credits finish rolling. You're walking out. And you're like, yeah, but you know they're not all dead. Each one of those characters represents like $1 billion franchise, so they're not killing those characters. You know. But it was a fun cliffhanger to go out on. Again, the question of Infinity War was really good. The answer to Infinity War, I don't expect to be nearly as good.
Yeah.
The trailer is not the black and white trailer with the little red, like, what is this, the 90s? Like, why are we doing that?
It's like the same trailer over and over, and they add like maybe 10 more seconds of new footage.
They can't really show us anything because we're supposed to believe everybody's dead. However, there's a trailer for the Spider-Man movie coming out. Like, we already know that Spider-Man... First of all, we know Spider-Man isn't dead, okay? But there's already trailers for the next movie coming out. We know that they're not going to stop making movies. So, it bothers me that I'm having to wait that long to get the answer to their excellent question of Infinity War called Endgame. And I just don't believe that none of them are... I you know what I mean? I don't believe what's it when you like you can't back it up. You can't your Infinity War is writing checks that Endgame can't cash. Mm-hmm. Infinity War wrote checks that Endgame can't cash because everybody knows they're alive. So what's the point of the whole 2.5 hour movie? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's destined to be disappointing in some way.
Right. Like Matrix Revolutions.
Yeah.
Which...
You know how much I love the Matrix movies, so you tread lightly. But I only defend 1 and 2. I will defend 2. I don't care how much people hate it. I will tell you why it's good. 3, I can't...
I can't.
Nothing I can do.
Well,
with that.
2 is up for debate because 2. Part of what was wrong with 2 is it was nowhere near as good as 1. You know what I mean? Like, how could it possibly be? It's like people like when Tarantino made Pulp Fiction, and the next movie he made was Jackie Brown, and everybody was like, "This is nothing as good as."
Yeah.
And even Tarantino was like, "There's no way I could top Pulp Fiction." So he just went a completely different direction and did something fun that he wanted to do. He just made a different movie. It's not like there's no way he's going to make Pulp Fiction 2. You know, there's no way he's going to do that. It took him a while to get back to, not a while, but like in his next movie, like Inglourious Bastards. Not Inglourious Bastards, but
Kill Bill, I thought.
The Kill Bill stuff, where he topped himself again.
Yeah.
You know, not that I never liked Kill Bill better than I liked Pulp Fiction, but he did something completely different and like, you know, cemented his Tarantino thing, you know, with Kill Bill. So not Infinity War, Endgame, I really don't know. And I really don't know. I don't expect to enjoy it. I don't expect to love it.
Yeah.
Maybe I will. Maybe I'll come out of it going, they really brought that home. Maybe it's not about finding out that we can save their, you know what I mean? Nobody, in my mind, nobody believes that all those characters are dead. So if they spend 2 hours worrying about it and trying to figure out how to, it doesn't matter as much. It's not worth the $400 million they've spent to make these movies,
Yeah. I think what would be fun, though, is early on or midway through the movie, somebody else gets the gauntlet, and we just let us see them just, wreak havoc, just do crazy shit.
So I haven't cared for any of the Avengers trailers. Everybody's like spooging themselves over these like Avengers trailers, and I'm like, this isn't
not selling me.
It's not getting me. The Infinity War trailer, I liked it, and I remember sitting there and going, "There's 27 main characters in this movie. How are we going to do this?" And I remember poo-pooing the idea of the movie. There's going to be 27 superheroes in this. There's no way they're going to be able to handle it all, and they handled it really well. So maybe the Russo brothers are making the same group of people are making the Endgame has made Infinity War. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe they pull it out of hat. Maybe we're just being difficult.
I'm making a face. Yeah.
That should be your profile pic. Nope.
The upper lip or the bottom lip going up over the pout. It's like pouting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, whatever. It's probably going to be okay, but odds are it won't be as good as Infinity War because it was just one of their best.
For me, and I realize I'm a movie snob and everything like that. The Marvel movies are very often like junk food for me. Like you eat a good donut. It better be a damn good donut if I'm gonna this once eat a donut. You know what I mean? I don't let myself eat a lot of donuts, but it better be a fucking good donut. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about the Marvel movies. Is that they so far for the most part they've been pretty good donuts. I don't want that to end. Like, I want to know that I can turn to them and go, they make good donuts,
Yeah, we got a bad batch.
We got a bad... The last couple of donuts have been pretty stale.
Yeah.
And you remember thinking, what is this, day-old donuts? Why am I eating... Why am I letting myself eat this? If I'm going to, cheat, I want to cheat on something good.
Right.
How many more donut analogies can we pull out of here in the next couple of...
Marvel Donuts. That's the title. Donuts, butter, and cheese. That's what we talk about on this show.
Well, that's it. If you saw us, I'm sure that there are people out there who completely disagree with us. I'm sure there are people who love the movie.
Yeah.
And you would be right. The thing about this movie is one of those up for debate movies. You would be totally right if you love this movie. You're right if you love whatever movie. I get it. But
the logistics, just not... Yeah.
Some of the stuff we cannot talk about... we had issues with, yeah.
But there's no way you can convince me that that's possible. But okay.
Okay. Well, but the thing is, Brad, nothing.
It's movie land. Anything's possible in movie land.
A lot of things in all the movies that we talk about are impossible. But why do we like them?
Because we need 80% realistic and 20% no fucking way to be a great movie.
So what is Avengers Infinity War then?
This is
none of Avengers Infinity War is believable. It's all just
it's plausible if people had powers.
If people had powers, but they don't have powers, so it's not plausible in any way.
Okay. What's plausible is the things look like if they were put
So
it looks like it's real, like the way they do things. Okay, put it this way:
you don't fucking know what you're talking about.
They follow the laws of science. So
do they?
I'm just.
Do we? What? You were talking about Infinity War?
Plausible. Most of it is plausible.
Keep saying plausible. Maybe it'll make more sense. Plausible. Plausible what? Plausible.
I mean, quantum. Okay? There, at least, see, now this is going back to my thing about how you just put the word quantum and then, but it explains it, right? But it doesn't make it a good movie just because you explain it as quantum. So you have wrapped me around my own self, and now
I quantumed you.
You quantumed me into having to admit, okay, well, then Ant-Man and Wasp isn't a great movie, but it was still fun.
So it wasn't a great movie, though.
Right.
But here's the thing: if there are there's a lot of unbelievable things in a lot of movies,
right?
But that's what's so fun about them is how well do they convince you that what shouldn't be happening is happening.
But there's a middle ground because, like, you're not the only one that isn't into cartoons. There's a lot of people who are, it's a cartoon? No, thank you. It could be the greatest story ever, but yeah. So, but that's because it's just completely unrealistic. Our brains, we like things that are that match what we know as reality. Yeah. So that was what the point I was trying to make, even with the
quantum,
the magic, infinity, whatever lasers, is it matches what we know as reality, even though there are things happening that aren't real. Okay, so that's what makes it work. 80% realistic.
Next week on the Quantum Podcast with Bradley Kingston.
Quantum butter is what we need to call it.
Well, again, I'm sure most of you saw the movie and really liked it. It is a satisfying movie. I totally get it. Yeah. We'd love to hear from you. Movieisms@gmail.com. Movieisms@gmail.com. I'm Becca Meyer on Instagram and Twitter.
I'm the balding Ewok. By the way, are we going to have the same ending for both shows? Because I was going to say to be continued, but no.
You're supposed to say the end.
No. How about stay tuned?
Ew. It's not the 80s. Stay
tuned to this internet podcast channel.
We'll see you next time at the movies. Where, I don't know, I can't remember what's coming out this week. Maybe there's... We'll have to check on it.
On the 27th, there's a movie coming out. I can't remember what it is.
Added nothing to the podcast.
Yep.
There's a movie coming out on the 27th. I don't know what it is. See you later. Stay tuned.
I just saw the commercial, but forgot. Stay tuned.
Movieisms is a production of Super Mega Ultra Entertainment and is produced by Michael Beckemeyer and Bradley Kingston. If you'd like to find out more, follow us on Twitter or Instagram. And make sure you click like on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/movieisms. If you're enjoying this podcast, please take a moment and give us a 5-star review in iTunes. It only takes a minute and it helps us out more than you can imagine. Thank you very much, and until next time, we'll see you at the movies.